The 7 levels of NFL franchises explained, starting with Level 1. Level 1 are absolute garbage franchises, the worst teams in the league, an absolute laughingstock. So obviously, let's start with the Browns. The Cleveland Browns are the perfect example of Level 1 garbage. They have the worst win percentage of any NFL team over the last 50 years at just 40.3%. They had a stretch where they won 3 games, 1 game, and then 0 games in the mid-2010s. What makes the Browns so historically terrible isn't just their record, it's their complete inability to develop talent or make competent decisions. They cycled through 40 starting quarterbacks since 1999, probably more by the end of this season. They drafted Johnny Manziel 22nd overall in 2014, thinking they found their franchise savior. Instead, Manziel spent more time partying than actually studying film. The Jets aren't far behind, at a 42.4 winning percentage over the same period. They've had moments, brief flashes, when you think they may have figured it out. And ultimately, they all ended in collapse. Then you have the Houston Texans, a 43.5% winning percentage. They've only existed since 2002, but infamously, they traded away their superstar wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals in 2020 for essentially nothing, with David Johnson and a second-round pick. They've had good players, even decent seasons here and there, but never sustained success. It's like they're allergic to building something that lasts. Bengals round out this garbage tier at 45.6% of a winning percentage. They're the definition of a franchise that can't get out of their own way. They're notoriously cheap under Mike Brown. They haven't had an indoor practice facility up until a few years ago, and they can't even protect their star player in Joe Burrow anymore. These franchises share common traits. They're not just bad, they're institutionally broken. But Level 2 is just a little bit better than that. These are not good franchises by any stretch. They're just no longer an absolute doormat of a franchise. Here, we have the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals sit at a 42.2% winning percentage over the last 50 years, making them historically terrible, but just slightly better than the absolute garbage tier. What's remarkable about the Cardinals is that they're technically the oldest franchise in existence, yet only have 7 playoff wins, with more than half of them coming in the last 15 years. Their winningest head coach has just 49 wins. For the oldest franchise in NFL history, that's absolutely pathetic. The Jags at 42% of a winning percentage represent everything wrong with modern NFL expansion. They've shown flashes, that magical 2017 run to the AFC Championship game, while also doing that in the late 90s as well. But largely they've been irrelevant since entering the league in 1995. Owner Shad Khan spent $90 million on a massive video board and stadium renovations while consistently fielding terrible teams, showing he cared more about the flashy amenities than actually building a winning football program. Then you have the Detroit Lions at 41.5% of a winning percentage. The Lions deserve special recognition because they're currently on the up and up with Dan Campbell, finally showing signs of a competent leadership and culture change. But let's be real. They've been so historically bad for so long that one good stretch doesn't erase decades of dysfunction. You have teams like the Saints, Panthers, and Dolphins here as well. But Level 3, we get to whatever type of franchises. They're not bad, but they're definitely not great. For Level 3, a lot of these franchises have been great in the past, but they're no longer up to those standards. The Las Vegas Raiders are exactly where they need to be. 48.5% winning percentage, and through the 60s and 80s, the Raiders were synonymous with excellence. Just win, baby, was their slogan. It was a way of life, but since those glory days, they've largely been irrelevant. The Raiders became so dysfunctional under Al Davis's later years that they drafted a kicker, Sebastian Janikowski, 17th overall in 2000. While Janikowski was actually good, using premium draft capital on a kicker perfectly symbolized their backward priorities and inability to complete a good team. The Tampa Bay Bucks sit at 41.2% winning percentage, making them historically the worst franchise in NFL history by winning percentage. But here's the thing. They've actually been really good over the past 5 years, especially during their Tom Brady era and now into the Baker Mayfield stretch. But we can't ignore their first 50 years of history. The Bucks were so poorly run in their early years that they went 0-26 in their first 26 games as a franchise. The Washington Commanders at 49.6% winning percentage represent the most frustrating case of wasted potential. In the 80s and in the early 90s, they were absolutely dominant. Multiple Super Bowl victories, the Hogs on the offensive line, incredible teams that defined excellence with Joe Gibbs at the helm. But outside of that golden era, they've been among the worst franchises in football. Under the old regime, with Dan Snyder at the helm, the Commanders at best were known as toxic. At worst, we'll leave that to the lawsuits. And now with new ownership and Jaden Daniels now finding his stride in his second season, there's hope for a turnaround. But decades of dysfunction under previous ownership created a culture of losing that's been hard to shake. You have teams like the Falcons, Colts, and Titans here as well. Then in Level 4, we actually get to some good franchises. These franchises are actually good. Pretty consistent throughout time, a few Super Bowls or deep playoff runs at least. The Buffalo Bills sit at 50.2% of a winning percentage, of representing everything you want in a franchise except the ultimate prize. They've been to 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s, an incredible achievement that no other team has matched. Sure, they lost all 4, but getting there 4 consecutive times shows organizational excellence and consistency that most franchises can only dream of. They had a long decade of bad football, but with Josh Allen at the helm, they're Super Bowl contenders yet again. The Chicago Bears are here at 49% of a winning percentage as well. Their peak in the 80s with the legendary 85 Bears defense was absolutely dominant. They've rarely endured the kind of long stretches of awful football that plagued teams like the Jets or the Browns. The Minnesota Vikings are here as well. They're kind of like the Steelers, just without the Super Bowls. They won about 55% of their games and made it to 4 Super Bowls in the 70s. They just happened to lose all of them as well. The Los Angeles Chargers are here at a 49% winning percentage. They've had great quarterbacks like Dan Fouts, Phillip Rivers, and Justin Herbert here. They just haven't had the consistency to actually get them over the top consistently. You have teams like the Seahawks here as well. But level 5 is where we really start to get to the above average franchises. Level 5 are really good franchises, consistently great, have multiple Super Bowls, and will most likely continue to win. The Philadelphia Eagles have finally established themselves as an above average franchise. They have the rare combination of passionate fans, strong organization culture, and ability to make the big moves whenever it matters the most. They're currently 4-0 this season and showing no signs of slowing down. The 2017 Super Bowl run with Nick Foles was absolutely magical, and they just won it again in 2024. The Denver Broncos sit here as well at a 52% winning percentage, having been one of the most successful franchises over the past several decades with 3 Super Bowl victories and consistent playoff appearances. They've consistently built championship caliber teams across multiple decades, from the John Elway era through Peyton Manning's championship run. The LA Rams are here as well, 49% winning percentage, which might seem historically low compared to the others, but they transformed into one of the NFL's premier franchises in recent years. The Rams have that championship pedigree and organizational commitment to excellence that suggests they'll continue competing at the highest level for years to come. The Rams' 2021 season culminated in a Super Bowl victory, and they had won back in St. Louis with the greatest show on turf. These franchises are all great, just not yet the legendary all-time status like the next group. Okay, I get it. The Bears and Browns are legendary franchises too. They just don't have the winning consistency as these other groups all time. The Baltimore Ravens have been one of the most consistently excellent franchises since their inception in 1996. With multiple Super Bowl victories and a culture of defensive excellence, they've established themselves as a model organization. The Ravens have that rare ability to consistently develop talent, make smart personnel decisions, and remain competitive year after year. They now have one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen in Lamar Jackson, and are Super Bowl contenders as well. The Giants are here, of course. The Giants' upset victory over the undefeated Patriots is one of the greatest championship performances in NFL history. David Tyree's helmet catch and Eli Manning's escape from what seemed like certain defeat showed the kind of championship magic that defined legendary franchises. With 4 Super Bowl victories, including those legendary upsets over the Patriots, the Giants have shown they can rise to the occasion when it matters the most. The Dallas Cowboys are here as well, at a 59% winning percentage as America's team. The Cowboys' dominance in the 90s with 3 Super Bowl victories in 4 years established them as a dynasty and cemented their status as one of the NFL's premier franchises. The Kansas City Chiefs have found their way up here as well with Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs recently went to 3 straight Super Bowls, winning back-to-back in 2022 and 2023. With Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid leading the way, they've established themselves as the new standard of excellence in the league. All of these groups are top tier, just not the top of the top, and that's what we have in level 7. There are 4 teams above the rest: Patriots, Packers, Steelers, 49ers. The Steelers at a 61% winning percentage over the last 50 years are the gold standard of NFL excellence. With 6 Super Bowl victories and a culture of winning that spans generations, the Steelers have built something truly special. They won with the Steel Curtain in the 70s, they won with Bill Cowher in the early 2000s, and they won with Mike Tomlin in the late 2000s as well. They've never had a losing season under Mike Tomlin, showing incredible organizational stability and consistency. The Patriots, at a 58.2% winning percentage, redefine what sustained excellence looks like in the modern NFL. The Patriots' 20-year run of dominance included 9 Super Bowl appearances and 6 victories, with their worst season being 10-6 in that span. With 6 Super Bowl victories during the Brady-Belichick era alone, they created a 20-year dynasty that may never be replicated. The Packers are the Packers. With 4 Super Bowl victories and a bunch of championships before the Super Bowl was even invented, and a history that includes legendary figures like Vince Lombardi, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers, the Packers have maintained championship-level success across multiple eras. Then you have the 49ers. At a 55.4% winning percentage, they've been one of the most successful and innovative franchises in NFL history. 49ers have won 5 Super Bowls in the 1980s and 90s, creating one of the greatest dynasties in NFL history with legends like Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and Steve Young. Their ability to maintain championship-level success across multiple different eras and continue reaching Super Bowls in recent years shows sustained organizational excellence that few franchises can match. And there you have it. Those are the 7 levels of NFL franchises. Thanks for watching.